I'm Steve Philion. I teach sociology, and I just got done lecturing for about 3 hours, so I'm not going to lecture much more. I'm being paid by Dominic to do this. But I'm real glad to be here, because this is what you guys need if you want to make any kind of change in the world that you're living in. And what I want to share with you is how your world's a lot different from the world I lived in when I was your age. Of course, that was only 5 years ago when I was your age, but we're talking about already a lot of really big time. Okay, that's not true. I was born in 1882. I went to school, rather, in 1982. And I graduated in 1986, and I went to a university called Fordham University. Has anybody heard of that? Yeah. It's a Jesuit university, it's a Catholic university, it's a private university. And right now the tuition there is about something like, I don't know, somewhere between $35,000 to $40,000 a year. For tuition, as I understand it, just tuition. When I went to college in 1982, not 1882, how much do you think the college tuition was? $300 a semester? No, that was 1882. How about 1982? Another guess.
20,000 a year.
How much?
No, not that much.
No, not 15. Lower.
5.
10.
About 5. About 5. And actually, it might be that the whole cost of the education was around 5. My mother seems to think the whole cost of housing and tuition was that. $5,000 a year. My mother and father both had college degrees and they had master's degrees, but they weren't rich. They weren't part of the 1%. But they had 4 kids and they were able to put their kids in college, and I was able to finish college. How much debt did I come out of college with? 20 grand, the young man says. Anybody else? 80 grand. You're definitely using a 2012 perspective. If you look at this, answer that question. How about 1986 perspective? 0. Yeah, actually, I think I took out about $2,000 that my mother asked me to take out so they could use that to help my sister with her college education. But my mother insists that I remember that incorrectly, and in fact, that never happened. So, in any event, $2,000 or 0. How many of you have only $2,000 in student debt right now? I don't see the hands. Don't be shy. Raise your hands. Tell the truth. Only $2,000. Yeah, none of you, of course, right? It's not unusual for you to get out of college from St. Cloud State University and have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in debt. Even when I finished my PhD 7 years ago now, I only had $25,000 in debt, and I had graduated with a PhD to go on and become a college professor. Now, when my mother and father, the more interesting story here, and the more relevant one to you guys is my mother and father went to a public, my mother went to a public university just like you guys, Hunter College in New York City. And when she graduated from college in 1955, she graduated with how much debt?
0.
None. How much did she pay for her tuition? Almost nothing. Not only that, this is the sick part about it. Well, sick maybe to you guys, but it was totally normal back then. She tells me that her books were paid for. Yeah, her books were paid for. She qualified for it. She wasn't from a very, very poor family, but she was from a family that needed help. And she was able to go to a university, a college that was almost free, and she got help with paying for her books. My father, with the GI Bill, went to a Catholic college in New Hampshire, and his tuition was not entirely free. I think he still had to pay about half of it, but there's no way he could have gotten through college without the help from the GI Bill, and also a tuition rate that didn't make it impossible for somebody with or without a GI Bill to be able to afford to go to a Catholic college in New Hampshire in 1955. In any event, all I want to tell you is don't listen to anybody that tells you that student debt is entirely your fault and that responsibility lies primarily on you. In fact, it lies on the people who have had the power in this country to decide how education policy will be organized and what the consequences of it will be for you guys. And the decisions to continually cut public education year after year after year, and then to make loans more and more easily available to you guys as a means to make it possible to still attract students to public universities, that's shameful. That's transforming our public universities into private universities for all intent and purposes. And the fact of the matter is, the way in which public universities were won in this country were through long struggles by working class people like yourselves and me, even me. I'm in a union too. And these kind of struggles are the ones that have to continue these days, because it doesn't seem like the politicians in this country, whether we're talking Obama or we're talking Romney or we're talking anyone else these days, are really seriously listening to us. And so this is what you guys got to be doing. I hear your march was really great. I'm afraid I was teaching, so I wasn't able to join the Pots and Pans gang. But just this is what you got to do, people. Keep it up. Thank you.
Yeah!